Hello, I'm Elcar. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Johnny B.
I am Clueless Mike.
And I'm Jason Fraud.
But together we are modelling
for advantage.
Advantage.
Hey.
Advantage.
Advantage.
So, who's in the chat tonight? We have got Rosie. Is this the very last day of her birthday month, John? Is reprieve?
Yes, it is. Unless there's 31 days in November.
Okay.
Rosie gets a birthday month. God, I need to up my game.
Rich John is with us. Saffron 69. Josh Wood is here. Allard is here. Got my pen and paper ready. Next week, mate. Next week. Not
early.
This week. Next week. We'll talk more about that. Alacrity Pete, howdy all. Drink a shot every time they say Knigget. Tony Holton, I may have already said that. Friends of General Haig, emergency inflatable Kaiser. Yeah, sorry about the technical problems last week. It could all be like going belly up as we speak, and I just don't know it. What underlying Jason is just scary? Oh, underlit Jason is scary, right? Yeah,
overlit Jason is even more scary.
Right. Hobby wise, what are people up tonight? I am. I've just finished flashing these war dogs. Look at that.
It looks tiny. Oh yeah.
For my SPQR, so I can cross John's Romans because I'm not already managing that. Oh, hang on, I am. That's right.
You don't need to worry, mate, because they've all left England now. They've left.
Is this for
No, they're in France, aren't they? They've all left. I am attempting to put a few more layers on the romans that I need for said SPQR game, but we'll likely get distracted. Mr. Hall, what are you doing?
What have I got? I had to dig something out because I haven't been doing much painting at home recently. I have dug out an Inquisitor Eisenhorn, who is a
was that one of them
black
limited edition miniatures?
Yeah, limited edition. Although the rules for him, he comes and you have to take a demon host with him, but he obviously doesn't come with a demon host, and you can't really buy demon host anymore. Really well done like that. So I have homemade a demon host out of various things. And
are you about to paint him red?
And I'm going to paint him red like I do everything.
Nice.
What have you got, Jace? No doubt hundreds of things.
I am painting some Tomb King Horsemen or Empire of
Tomb King Horsemen.
Nice.
They're actually the mummified undead from one-page rules, but I'm using them as for Empire of Dust for Kings of War.
Right. Yes, we're gonna look at them in more detail in a bit, I think, aren't we?
Yeah.
We had you say Hick. Solvent Abuse UK has joined us, and so has a Plastic Crack Gaming. What is the crack, sir? Indeed. Well, so a couple of things to talk about first. News-wise from us, as some of you will know, I work in a school, and what that means is the last few weeks of term get very busy with concerts and all kinds of things like that. Unfortunately, because of the new COVID restrictions, we're not going to be having these concerts. The downside is we're going to be doing them virtually, which means this prick here is the only person in the building knows anything about recording and editing and streaming and so forth. So I'm super busy. So next week, the 7th of December, is going to be the last live show for a while. I put a poll up to talk about, we're going to be back in January. We're going to be still doing regular live shows. But one of the things that we sort of I'd come to reflect on, and it's a particular issue for John and I, is that with the live show being every week, it's become a huge part of what we do. We're not getting the painting done. We're not getting the games in, the unboxings. And it's not that we don't enjoy it, but there's only so many hours in the day. And the hope was it was never supposed to be 50% of the output, which is what it has become. So what I hope to do next year is to do it maybe a little bit less frequently, but maybe do some things like having a Saturday show in the afternoon where different people can take part in the live show, that kind of thing. And we're still, hoping to have 1 or 2 videos a week. But we're just, it's especially the hobbying. Like the SPQR, we've been finished the last game about 6-8 weeks ago. We still haven't got the painting done.
Yeah.
Still haven't even got the models glued to bases. You know what I mean? It's like, where do we find the time for this? So, you know, it's not like the sky's falling on our heads. We're not going anywhere. It's not the end of the world. But next week's show will be a little bit different. Now, let's see if this works.
Oh.
No, this one.
Wow.
So we're going to have a quiz. We've experimented a little bit with quizzes, and we're going to have a War Gamers quiz. So it's not a War Games quiz, it's a War Gamers quiz. The idea is all the guys involved in the show are going to submit questions in 5 question rounds. So, for example, Harry was talking about doing something with aircraft silhouettes and so forth. I might do a round on beer. You know, John's going to do something on Terminator movies, I'm sure. So it's not just about wargaming. It's about the kind of the very broad brush look at the hobby and the things that the kind of overlapping interests, sci-fi movies, that kind of stuff. That's the hope. But things that many wargamers are interested in. Kaiser's Sunday Miniatures Swap Shop.
Good, wasn't it?
So yeah. So if you want to submit a question or group of questions, send it to modelingforadvantage@gmail.com. Mark it for the attention of Mrs. Kaiser. She's assembling the quiz so I can actually take part. That's the idea. Nobody's going to have so many questions. The show will just be a quiz as a way of rounding off the live show for the year. We're still going to do some other bits over Christmas. Might have a look at some of the computer games again, especially Tharsis. Do you remember that one, John? With the cannibal astronauts.
Oh, I love that one. I love that one because you cannot win the game. Well, you can, but
no,
it's
like
epic.
Like Lost Patrol, isn't it? It's like almost
I love it.
Lost Patrol.
Yeah. All right.
Cannibal astronauts.
Cannibal astronauts. So
let's just say you've got to make some real tough decisions in that game, Tharsis, Jason.
like lift your visor so you can eat someone.
Are we going to eat Dave? And if so, who gets to eat him? That kind of question. In other news, I do have something for Clueless Mike to look at here.
Ooh.
It's here, sir.
I shall pop round probably on Friday.
Pop round on Friday and collect that. So that will be coming for your viewing pleasure.
Excellent. That's my Sunday entertainment sorted.
Yeah. And as recompense, Mike gets the option to take something from the box. Do you know what it is you want?
Ooh, maybe a repulsor again. Or I'll have to have a think. It might just be
another
bits,
repulsor.
actually.
Bits?
Might be
I've
bits.
not seen Black Templars in red before.
Oh, don't worry, I've got some upstairs. You better believe it.
Red Templars.
But they're all those big marines, you see. So, well, they're not that useful to me.
You got Primaris, don't you?
I've got Primaris that I've made out of smaller kits that represent Primaris, but I don't actually own any Primaris models other than Primaris Mephiston. He's the only model I own that's actually a Primaris.
But he's supposed to be big anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's how my headcanon lets me get away with it.
So now I want to send you one every day for Christmas.
What, like the Christmas cards from a few years ago?
Yeah.
We're all doing well. Well, so it's nice to have Jason. I suppose some people may not know. So, Jason, why don't you tell these lovely people who you are and what you're all about?
All right. I'm Jason Froud. I run a channel called Battle Knights, it's just a hobby channel where I play anything and everything all the time. I get my friends over, we play some games, I load them up onto the channel. I put up some like a diary video of things I've painted over the week or couple weeks, and sort of showcases of some of the armies I've building. It's literally just a hobby channel. So everything that I like about the hobby I put on there, and hopefully other people can enjoy it too.
Sweet. Let's not forget, you are a commission painter also.
Fact.
Yeah, but that's not really the focus of the channel. It's
No,
more,
it is
you know, it's just my hobby, as we all enjoy the hobby together via social media.
Yeah, that is a lot how people enjoy the hobby nowadays. It is through so many Facebook groups I'm a member of. I'm just a member of so I can get inspiration from people posting up the stuff they do. I think that's how a lot of us consume that kind of thing nowadays.
Yeah. I join a lot of Facebook groups and stuff like that just so I can see what other people are working on and that sort of thing.
All right. Well, speaking of working on, should we have a look at some pictures that Jason has provided us? So they're in, see if this works. There's a new function on StreamYard that says it takes slideshows. I've tested it. It seems to be okay. So hopefully there's a bit less zooming in and out on me, like, janky trying to get it to work. There we go. There's slide number 1. Okay. So, you ready? Boom.
Hey, it worked.
All right. So this is last weekend. I was sitting around here doing some painting, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to print out an army and put it and base it up for Kings of War. I've never done multi-basing before for an army because I like to keep my figures separate so that I can use them in various games. Give me the options to use them in different stuff. But with obviously multi-basing, you glue them straight to the base, so therefore they are only usable for that game. But with 3D printing, you can now buy stuff and print them out as many times as you want. So I kind of had a change of mindset where I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. So that's what I started last week. This was the beginning of the basing. I was doing a Tomb Kings / Empire of Dust army, and it was sort of a lush pyramid Egyptian sort of themed army.
Mm-hmm. So are these 3D printed pieces as well then?
No, some of them are like the little obelisks and little sphinxes and things, or sphinxes, things like that. I printed out. I got that from Thingiverse. Just went on there, typed in some Egyptian stuff, printed those out, and then I put some cork on the bases, made some styrofoam plinths, stuff like that, and then I used modeling compound from Geek Gaming Scenics, as you can see over here,
from Luke's APS.
Yeah, it's just evened out the bases and the rocks and stuff to give it a little more texture. Also, to give it more undulations in the bases. So some of the models can have different more height or a little more height, things like that.
Yeah. All right. So then this one.
So this is I sprayed them all grey, and then used an airbrush just to add some texture and color. So like all the rocky areas I sprayed with Agrex to to give it a little more depth, and then as you can see over here, then dry brushed and highlighted everything with grays and lighter grays and stuff like that.
It's really, and then I went back in obelisks to life, hasn't it?
Sorry?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really brought those obelisks to life.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the detail in them before, the like the writing and such.
And then it was the painstaking part of because those obelisks have, well, the larger ones have like indentations of the symbols and stuff. So I went in there with a very neon green and started bringing them out. The smaller ones, for some reason, have outies rather than innies. So
it's just not right, man.
No, it's not right.
So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do the insides of those. And then the sphinxes, or whatever they're called, on top of the plinth.
I believe. Sphincters.
Yeah, sphincters. I made like a sort of a jade green, so a lot of dry brushing and highlighting to just bring them out and make them stand out a bit more.
It's looking good.
Very nice. Okay, so then suddenly there's a big leap in the pictures.
Whoa!
Yeah, and then they'll finish.
Where did they come from?
Like, I was doing this on one night because this was a week ago when I started this, and I think it was around Wednesday or Thursday. I got to the point where I got really into the zone, and I was just hammering them out, and I forgot to take any pictures or do any video up until that point. And then I was like, the next morning, I was like, oh friggin' hell, I forgot to do that. So I started back from where this point was, where I'd already I bought some of this basing material from Luke's APS. I think it's called Scrubland, It's the idea is that you're supposed to just be able to pour it straight on without having to paint it or texture it or anything like that. The problem, as soon as I put it on one section of one of the cavalry bases, it was so heavily rocky. There was just so many pebbles and rocks and stuff in it that there was no space for the models to go on.
Right.
So I scraped it off, and then I basically diluted it down with fine sand and modeling flocks and things like that. And then brought it back up to this point where I put it back onto the rocks here. And then I used lots of different tufts and flowers and things just to contrast with the grayish monoliths, just to bring it out. Because the idea behind, in my head, it was like, even though this is an Egyptian themed, I didn't want to go desert. I wanted to think about closer to the Nile, where it's a little more lush.
It's a lot more lush up against the Nile. That's the point.
Yeah. So I was tempted to make it even go in further, but then I wouldn't have any space for the miniatures.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about that Luke's base ready. I remember brushing Quilly's just not actually. I mean, him saying he sieves it to take a lot of the stones out.
Yeah,
he's very stony.
Yeah.
By default, I'm gonna say looking at these, I really like the kind of copper look you've gone for. So you've got it's different, you know. And when you mentioned green, I was thinking Necrons. I was thinking glow. So, but this kind of copper green, I really like it. We still got more pictures though, so let's have a look. See, the next ones are a bit closer.
Yeah, so you can see here's some of how the cork with the modeling compound turned out. So it gives, it's not a jagged edge; it's more of a fade into the ground. So that way it looks more natural, I think. And then I did like that little ankh there in the rock. I printed out the ankh on the 3D printer, and then I just carved out a little bit of styrofoam and pushed the ankh into it, just to make something look a little different. I just wanted the bases to make more of a, not a diorama, but more of a like a narrative. Like this was a very sort of Egyptian-y area.
Yeah. So I mean, there are schools of thought on this. Some people don't like it because why are they dragging these obelisks around the battlefield with them?
Yes.
I personally, John, with this clear basing philosophy, I do like this because I think the army brings their theme with them. But I understand the difference in viewpoint because I started Kings of War army. I got a dwarf one up there, which is like 3/4 finished. For a similar reason. And the other thing, which you can see on this unit of archers, for example, what the great thing about going for multi-basing is you don't have to paint as many figures. You've got 2 bowmen in that unit.
John pulled me up on that, but that's only because I haven't finished painting the command group yet.
Right.
So the command group goes in front of it. What I've also done is, I don't know if you can tell from those pictures, is like those bowmen are actually on 4 singular trays, which I've pushed together to either give me the option of either making them 4 troop units, or 2 regiments, or 1 horde.
Yeah.
But when you push them together, they look like a unified unit. It doesn't look like 4 random bases pushed together, which makes no sense. This sort of thing. Yeah.
Very.
And there's the same with the models at the back, the regiment of skeletons. That sort of thing as well.
Right, but they're on the equivalent base. So these bases, the little slot we got those 2 bowmen on, that's actually a 10 for 10 figures, isn't it? That size base.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 10.
Just playing them on 20 by 20s.
Yeah,
it'd be 10 figures. But you comfortably look full with 6 or 7 on them, I found.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. I also count, like, for example, the obelisk. I count that as a miniature or 2 as well.
Right, I get you.
I had to paint it and print it out, so it's a miniature.
I think with stuff like that, you can happily get away with it as long as it looks good. It's the rule of cool. If you've got a base with a couple of crappy bits of scenery on that you haven't modelled particularly well, doesn't fit in with the unit, people will go, oh, he's just trying to save on buying models there. If you've got beautiful scenery mixed in with the unit and it looks like it's part of kind of like how they're moving around, then everyone's like, yeah, that looks brilliant. And they don't even see that, oh, there's 7 miniatures instead of 10 on that base.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm never going to take it to a tournament or anything. This is literally just for my own, my own hobby, if you like. So I don't think it really matters, so long as it looks cool, like you said, and it does give the impression of what it is. You know, if you have one bowman on on a massive base, it doesn't seem like a horde of archers. But you know, I think with those together, it looks like a horde.
Yeah, and I like them not looking quite ranked up, because when you've got a game that's maybe Kings of War is maybe 100 figures, right? That's still not an army. That's still a group of guys having a fight, right? And I think them looking less regular and less regimented, they really benefit from that, I think, on that scale. All right, I think that might be the last. What's the big model at the back? Was there a better picture of it earlier?
Looks awesome.
We can kind of see it there a little bit clearer.
Once I'm done, I'll take some better pictures. I'm also going to do a video for my channel, so you'll get to see all of those things better then. But at the moment, it's an undead giant. I got to admit, I started building this army. I haven't even looked at the Kings of War rulebook or the Empire of Dust army list or anything like that.
Right.
I literally just picked out models I thought was cool. I went to one-page rules. These are where these models are from. They do a mummified undead starter base set. I think it was about $70 or something like that for all the core units. So you got the giant, the warriors with spears, swords and shields, bowmen, mounted units, crafty type units, all these sort of things. And I didn't even look at the rules. I just printed out. I thought these are the ones I want to do, and I printed them out and started painting them and building them. And you know, eventually I'll look in the rule book and go, right, this is how to build an army from this.
So this isn't a commission. This is a personal project. This is for you.
Yeah, this is for me.
Okay, cool. So that's those. And then the other thing you've sent us in, is this a game you played with John recently? Is that right, John?
Yes. This should be coming. The battle report should be coming up on my channel this week. This was a lot of fun, actually. Oh my god, we laughed our asses off at this game.
Right. I'm recognizing the Johnny B reflock China trees. You see, that's one thing it's John.
Yeah, man.
So this is the Callistra scenery system, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Kaiser?
Hexon or something.
That's exactly what it's called, Hexon.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Know.
I like it. That's why I bought it.
It's yours.
Yeah, it's mine.
I was wondering why you were asking me. Yeah. I've looked at it and I've thought about it. Gone. What do you think, Clueless Mike?
It looks interesting. I'm slightly taken away by the fact that you can see the hexes. And
yeah.
That's the only thing. I looked at it and I thought, oh, is that some kind of planetary empires, the old kind of like... But then I saw the miniatures on it, so saw what scale we were talking about. I think it looks really interesting. It looks like you've got nice kind of like gradients and stuff going across it. But the fact that I can see the hexes would possibly take me out of the game, depending on what game I was playing.
Yeah, very big feature, yeah. It's really weird. When we laid this out, me and Jose were like, we felt really strange about it. I'm used to playing on your board, Kaiser, and it's a beautiful blend. It's and that's why I got this. Ultimately, it's not the same, but it's a way to get a solid board with some contouring / you know, some greenery on it that looks all right ish.
How are they all held together? Do the single hexes lock in with each other, or are they just pushed together and you hope it doesn't move?
You can see underneath of some at the bottom, Mike.
Oh,
that's
yes,
correct.
I see.
Yeah, and there's they're coming 6, so 6 of those hexes together as one sort of plate.
2, isn't it?
I see.
I was very tempted by it at one point.
Something about it. There's also, I don't know what it is, but it makes me feel nostalgic. I don't know why, because this stuff wasn't around. It's just the sort of feel of it, the flocking, and ideally there'd be 2 foot by 2 foot polystyrene squares, all flocked up and burnt into with glue to make craters and stuff like that. But no, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go. This
is significantly more robust, though, isn't it?
It is. And significantly more expensive as well.
That was the next question. How expensive is it? That's always a key to how much I enjoy something. Is how much?
I'm going to take a guess. that we're looking at 250 quid there.
Okay. Well, fortunately, it's not that much. It's not that much. So that's one box of Callistra board tiles. You get 21 tiles in there. So there's actually one spare here. Well, you can see it, yeah, at the bottom of the screen. That's one of the underneath of the tiles there, where the dice are. You get 21 tiles in there, but it's a really odd dimension. It's not quite a 3x4. It's close enough to be a 3x4. So you're going to need to buy 2 of these to make a decent sized table. And one box is 75 quid.
Okay.
For that 21 tiles.
That's
not so bad.
No,
that's not too bad.
I tell you what, when we played on this, my initial thought when we were looking at it is it reminded me of a computer game, like I was playing a computer game on a tabletop. But once you get into the game and you're playing, you don't even notice it anymore. You just enjoying the game itself.
Yeah, and I mean, Callistra themselves, they do a lot of free rule sets. I actually downloaded and got it bound
and they're
up.
designed to play on a hex board, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah, they've got that specifically for that. So I've got a few rule systems that we can maybe have a look at in the future. Maybe even the ACW stuff.
What kind of variety is there? That's one set you brought, which is kind of like Grasslands Hills and such. Could you buy a second set which is mixable in but has different terrain? Yeah,
so they do. There's one which is just completely green flock, which is super retro. There's this one which is 2 tones, so you got the brown and flock there. And then they do one called a 777 mix, which is a selection of completely normal green flock, handful of these ones, and then ones where they've got an additional darker tone on there as well, so that really mixes it up. On top of that, you can also get matte blue ones, so you could have seaboard if you wanted, or a beach scene. And they do a desert and desert transition, so there's a few options there.
What about things like rivers or rock formations?
Yeah, they do rivers and rock formations. There's one of they call them mountains, right at the very back top edge there. But they're definitely scaled for more like, your 10 mil. Especially the ones that have got snow caps on. It's like, a bit right. But yeah, check it out. Check out Hexon, the Callistra.
Mike, you've played Memoir 44, haven't you? And Battle Law and those type of games?
Yes, many years ago.
They call them the Command and Color games.
Yeah.
This will be perfect for those games as well.
Yeah, because they're designed with hexes.
Yeah. You could do it like a whole 3D Memoir 44 or Battle Law game.
I was thinking
coming in with the airborne
tech. Does BattleTech still use hexes? I know it used to years ago.
Yeah. We've Tony Holton's mentioned that about BattleTech. Yeah. All right. Because I've got Callistra's American Civil War figures, I have looked at this. It's on the. It's quite, at the front and center of all of their photographs and so forth. The hexes are pretty dominant.
They are extremely dominant. So, if you, I bought it even though I was still torn with how it was going to look. And as Jason said, when we looked at it, we just felt uneasy. We were sort of half smirking at each other. We're like, "Is this all right? I'm not sure." But yeah, it was like the computer game thing it's all right. I like it. You can fluff it up and you can.
The one complaint I had, which John said they do have a fix for, is the fact that I don't like the edges are like sort of
hexagons.
Perforated like that. Yeah. But you get like these little points where you can square them off.
I was going to say
again, it's all money. There are DIY versions that you could do of this.
Lots of hex-based board games come with kind of like edges, so you don't have the zigzagged edges. It's got kind of like a little bit that slides in at the side to make it flat.
So that's a lot to talk about on the Callistra's Hexon. But let's talk about the game that you're playing there. So I'm seeing some British thin red line type dude bros here.
Yeah, we played the Men Who Would Be Kings. And we were doing the Anglo-Zulu War. We played a first play battle report a couple of weeks ago, where we were just going through the rules just to get it into our head. because John brought these around, and it wasn't quite big enough to play a big size table. We used they call it the sort of the Men Who Would Be Kings skirmish version, where you just half the units. So instead of having a 10-man British line unit, you would have a 5-man unit, that sort of thing. We made up a little narrative scenario, and we played through it, and it was a lot of fun. There was so many back and forths going on, and it looked really cool as well because we used a little campsite, and all the hills and stuff came into play, and it was good. It looked fantastic, and it was a lot of fun to play. I actually enjoyed it. It was good laugh.
do wonder though if we were to play that exact same mission again, because I got real lucky. Hopefully you'll see that when the report comes out. I think it could have been over within 10 minutes. And is there much replayability to it, do you think, Jason, to the Men Who Would Be Kings?
Well, it depends. I think if you're playing the same period, like if you do the Anglo-Zulu War, for example, and you play it week after week, there might not be that much replayability in that particular scenario, because it's just Zulus running at the British line over and over and over again.
Is that not just the whole war, not just that scenario?
Oh yeah, but you can you can obviously use these rules for different periods as well. You could use it in the Sudan War. You can use it in the North American conflicts, the Maori Wars. You can use them in any sort of post Black Powder era sort of thing.
Yeah.
I actually quite like them. I think they're very simple. They're quite fun to play. They don't take a lot of it's not very taxing. It's only a simple amount of rules, and it brings through enough. If you make the scenarios and the narrative between the two of you, then you can have a good game out of it. But if you're looking for a more competitive tournament style game, then it's definitely not going to be the worthwhile. So because I do feel like the 2 or 3 games that we've played of this, every time I've played the Zulus, I felt like I was in the game, and then like for example in that first play game, I felt like I was under pressure a couple of times, with my Zulus getting shot the hell out of. Yeah, but when I get into combat with one of your British units, I feel like I'm going to smash them, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it was good.
I mean, it really helped that we did it completely wrong, and I was just absolutely drilling you with my rifle, and you were running away far too soon.
Right,
so that was good.
You can't be getting the rules wrong for giving you an idea of how the game works.
Yep.
Yep. It's the best way to do it, right?
So this is Men Who Would Be Kings. This is a Osprey Blue Book game, so you pick up these rules for about a tenner. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it mostly there's 20 pages of fluff, and then there's 20 pages of tables. Roll some dice, off you go.
There's not even that many tables, to be fair. I mean, this one has some tables in the beginning that you roll before the game starts. But after that, it's just, you need a 5 up to hit, and then, depending how far away you are, something dies.
Right.
And it's very simple. And most of them are like that. Very simple, sort of, what do they call it? Beer and pretzel games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much not designed with tournaments or even events particularly in mind. They're very much designed for 2 dudes or 2 gals just sitting at home and quickly throwing down for a game. It's supposed to be quick. It's supposed to be easy. There's not supposed to be a whole load of rules bloat. Although you obviously forgot a load, it seems.
What I love about these Blue Book ranges is that you can get a taste of something. For example, like being from South Africa, I'd love to do the Anglo-Zulu War and the Boer War and that sort of thing. But I don't want to build up thousands and thousands of models for Black Powder or whatever the case may be. What's the Black Powder version for Anglo-Zulu War? I can't remember what it's called now. Is it called Black Powder? I don't want to build 5,000 Zulus and 200 British soldiers and all that sort of stuff. But this gives me the option of doing 50, 60 British soldiers, 100, 120 Zulus, and you get a good game out of it. And then I can move on to something else. I can go, for example, the American War of Independence and go play Rebels and Patriots. Again, same sort of thing. Then I can do English Civil War and play Pikeman's Lament, that sort of thing.
I've been saying this a lot recently. I think there's an increasing taste for small model count skirmish games that take an hour and a half. And I think there's a lot more acceptance of things like tokens and cards and whimsy in your rules. And I don't think like Warhammer, which has got like 1 million stratagems and then 1 million special rules. I mean, like each time I move a model, I draw a card and it says gun jam. You know, that much more
pure random element.
Yeah, really mixing it up. And I increasingly believe that I want to be looking at 5 to 10 model count games with 54mm miniatures. I really think that there's a I don't think there's an interest out there for it, but I think there would be if people started seeing it.
Yeah.
So it's like one of the comments I see is it from Saffron. It says that they're basically Hollywood rules, which is a really good thing, because a lot of the times I get inspired by watching, say, a Hollywood movie of, you know. So like the other day I watched Last of the Mohicans again while I was painting, and it's like it made me want to go do some French Indian War, you know, that sort of thing. But I don't want to paint up, you know, 200-300 miniatures for that. I just want to do 50-60 miniatures and maybe throw some dice and get a little bit of a feel for the game, but not necessarily, you know, the whole war sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, and particularly there's a credibility point. So you mentioned the Anglo-Zulu War, right? There's two significant encounters in the Anglo-Zulu War. There's the Battle of Isandlwana, an incredibly one-sided MfA. Maybe you can tell me how to say that better, though, Jason.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Isandlwana. No, I can't say it. You infected me.
I've infected you. Omicron variant, mate. Ooh. So anybody else notice this new variant come? It sounds like a transformer, man. I'm not sure about that at all.
Yeah,
that's my
There's memes out there.
I went for the Galvatron variant to
Omega
arrive.
variant. It's the Omicron variant. It's like, I've lost my thread now. So there's this Isandlwana, which is an incredibly one-sided battle, and there's the encounter at Rock's Drift, and that's pretty much your Anglo-Zulu War. If you want to play,
there's one more battle after that one, which was actually a really good battle, but it didn't have a movie, so it's not very popular. Which is the Battle for Lindi.
Yeah,
and that was a really good battle because they learned a lot from those two battles beforehand, the British.
Yes.
And they completely messed, you know, like that was a smaller force like the Rock's Drift one against a big force like the Isandlwana one. But they still came out on top there because they learned a lot from those two fights.
They knew it was going to happen. Yeah.
I mean, they even used the tactic of running out their cavalry to draw out the right horn of the Zulus and crush the right horn first before the center and the left horn even came into play.
In detail. Yeah.
It was really interesting, but that obviously didn't have a movie, so
not yet. But my point being is, if you want to find interesting battles in that area, okay, there are the handful of mass battles in most wars, but actually, far more action is taking place with 20 guys transporting some munitions between two outposts.
Yeah,
there's far more storytelling, far more scope for the battles not to be one-sided. And so forth. I think it appeals to both the kind of the gamer that wants a game that's fun and interesting, but also the history buff who looks at a lot of war games and says, well, this was just never going to happen, right? So there's no getting around the fact that Germany doesn't have an aircraft carrier in World War II. So what's going on here, you know? So let's move away from that and move right down to the micro. Saying anything can happen at this scale. Anything. That's kind of my feeling. But we've got more pictures from Jason because this isn't it. So somebody mentioned lion rampant. Now is this lion or dragon rampant? It's dragon, isn't it? I see wizards.
Right. I'm a wizard. These are actually needed. This was from this is called Age of Fantasy from One Page Rules. And it's just a sort of, I call it a mass skirmish game, you know, kind of like Dragon Rampant and those type of games where you have units of, say, 10 to 12 figures and you have, say, 6 or 7 or 8 units. So you have around about 100 figures aside and it's alternated activations, that sort of thing. It's good fun and very brutal.
Yes, especially some of the spells that we learn.
Quick vote. Zulu. Is Zulu a Christmas movie? I vote yes.
Ooh. I'm going to say yes as well. Yeah. definitely.
I can't remember. I haven't watched it since the mid-80s, I suspect.
Well,
Not that I was alive in the mid-80s, obviously. I was in the room watching it.
the fact is, it's on terrestrial
Christmas.
television at Christmas. So yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
No,
Well,
it's
actually,
got to be set at Christmas for it to be a Christmas movie. Die Hard is a Christmas movie because it's Christmas when it takes place.
Well, yeah, true.
someone's
Is there
actually
any Christmas
both.
in it?
Someone's actually uploaded both Zulu and Zulu Dawn on YouTube. So if you want, you can watch it year long.
Don't watch Zulu Dawn. It's a terrible movie. It's a shockingly bad movie. Dr. Zhivago, best Christmas movie. You see? Yeah.
Die Hard. There's only one answer.
There's only one answer. So is Zulu a Christmas movie? The answer is Die Hard.
No, the best.
That's going to make
Christmas
next week's
movie.
quiz quite hard. Right, so this is one-page rules. So first question, Jason, one-page rules. Do the rules all fit on one page?
I suppose technically, if you flip them over back and front, then that's one page for the core rules. But technically, if you print them out, they're 20 pages.
Jason sent me a link to the 40k version of 1k rules, and he sent
1K rules?
the 40k, the one-page rules. He sent it over and said, "Oh, I'd quite like to play this at some point. Can you have a look at it just to learn the rules and stuff?" I decided to print out the rules and the rules for the Space Marines. 40 pages I printed out for one-page rules. I mean, it's not what it says on the tin.
But you
No.
only read one page at a time, so
Yes.
I mean, the rules are more complicated than the base 40k rules. Obviously, adding codexes is nowhere close, but the base rules are more complex than the base 40k rules.
So waiting for you to come around so we can play, man.
I know. I've read them.
Yeah. So what have you got going on here then, Jason? You got some wizards, you got some cavalry. These are not great pictures of your lovely miniatures from this angle, but what's the get? One-page rules.
Yeah. So this is the most recent battle report I put up. This was my human kingdom's army versus my halfling
On your
undead.
halflings.
Love the halflings.
The undead halflings are so funny.
2021 was the year of the halfling for Jason. For anyone that doesn't follow his YouTubes, he's absolutely. Is that because TT Combat just keeps sending you them, or?
Well, the thing is, when I originally started painting for them, the first couple of samples they sent me were some shield maiden halflings,
Right.
and I really enjoyed painting them, and I liked them. So when I applied for the job, I got the job, and then I started painting for them. But then I also picked up a whole lot of the halfling, just the shield. They did like this little pack where you could buy just the shield maidens.
Mhm.
So I bought them and made up a little force of shield maidens. And then I realized, I didn't actually look into it too much, how much halfling shit they really do. And it's ridiculous. I've got another halfling army sitting here, which they actually sent to me when I painted up their version of it. They sent me a couple of units just to I can do with whatever I want. Mainly it's sometimes because all their stuff is printed, 3D printed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
But it's not quite like home printers. It's big factory printers.
Yeah.
And they sent, it was like this sort of Persian style halfling army. And they sent basically me to me to paint, but then they also sent me extra units just in case some of them were broken or whatever the case may be. But whatever I don't send back to them, I could keep it. And I've been looking at it. It's been sitting on the shelf there by me, and I'm like, do I really want to make another halfling army?
yes.
To face off, obviously. Yeah.
Because I got the shield maidens, I've got the undead halflings, and now I can make this sort of sub-Saharan sort of Persian army. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I was nagging them after I painted. They did a Bretonian Kickstarter recently for halflings. A Bretonian halfling Kickstarter.
French halflings, you mean?
Yeah, basically. Little short, chivalric knights. And it's hilarious. There was a Pegasus. So it's a pig with wings. It was,
Right.
it was hilarious. So I started nagging the boss if they could do a Zulu version of the halflings, with little halflings on ostriches and, little hood howdah on the back of a rhino, that sort of thing.
Are they doing it?
No, they're not.
All right, okay. Because when we went to, it was Selwig we went to, wasn't it?
Absolute. You've been to. Oh no, with Jason.
Jason was at Selwig.
Selwig. Yeah.
Was that where you were having this conversation? Because you're having a long conversation with TT Combat.
Yeah, it's exactly where it was. I was telling Louis if he could make me a Zulu halfling army.
Nice. All right. The halfling gladiator is hilarious. I mean, they've got a lot. If you like halflings and you don't know, they have a massive range of them.
Yeah.
TT Combat.
I've been painting halflings for them for over a year now, probably a year and a half even, and I've not even finished all of it. There's still hundreds more halflings coming my way, and I've heard this is a secret, keep it safe, but I've heard they're going to be doing sci-fi halflings soon as well. God damn.
I mean, they must be selling. There must be a market out there for them, as they wouldn't keep on making them.
Yeah,
that's true.
True.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was Jason's pictures. Thank you very much. So yeah, let's see. Have a quick look around. Has anybody made any progress? I have actually. I've just realised I wasn't doing anything. I have actually glued these dogs down now. Woo!
Sweet.
I put little bits of red on both these miniatures just to please Jason.
Nice.
I've got most of the metal on the Romans now. The helmet metal. You can't see it. It's a bit shiny. There you go. So I'm getting there. It's just really slow.
So yeah.
All the things. That's it. We can all go home now. We're done.
So it's about Jason's pictures. So for those of you that don't know, that Clueless Mike's not been around on the channel very active. This is the first time on a live show in months. Why is that, Mike?
My wife and I had a little baby about 4.5 months ago. Says,
I'm not the wife, by the way.
No,
I was about to say,
contrary to last week's popular opinion, it's not mine and Jason's baby.
So
he is doing very well.
Very nice. Very nice.
Little baby Harrison Hall. Hopefully still asleep upstairs. Fingers crossed if you can cross them while holding a paintbrush. Haven't heard it.
That names like Eisenhorn and Mephiston were forbidden by.
They were. Unfortunately, over the years, I've spent much time trying to tell my wife about 40k, generally to put her to sleep at night if she's having trouble. But that means she does have some underlying knowledge. So when you suggest names like Sanguinius and Dante and stuff, she knows what I'm talking about.
She doesn't think, they sound cool and modern.
Yeah, she didn't think that.
And weird.
I mean, I got Harrison, which is a reference to Harrison Ford, so it's a Star Wars reference. But I mainly got that because she's a big Beatles fan, so she decided, that's George Harrison is what we're referencing there.
Oh, is that right? Is that right? Because that
was how it worked.
Name a famous Beatle, George Harrison is the top answer every time. There's 4 of them, isn't there? Hang on, what's that last one called?
It's the second worst. I mean, he's the second worst drummer.
The second worst drummer.
After Ringo.
Babies don't sleep for the first several months. Yeah. So are you getting into a regular sleep pattern now, then, Mike?
He was doing really well until the clocks changed, and then he was getting up at 5:30 in the morning. Now he's getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm much better at night. I don't need as much sleep as my wife. I can get by on 4 hours sleep, so I generally do all the nighttime feeding. So I'm usually up at about sometime between 12 and 2. And I've been watching lots of TV, catching up on lots of programs that I haven't watched.
Well, an interesting topic. Have you yet watched any? Because everybody on the channel loves it, of course. The commenters. Have you watched any of the Warhammer Plus?
I've watched a little bit of it, not a huge amount, because
you're a massive Blood Angels guy, right?
Yeah, and I've watched some of the Blood Angel stuff, which I really enjoyed. I thought stylistically it looked super cool. Like most people, I was put off a bit by the lip syncing, which is it just takes you out of it slightly, doesn't it? Which is a real shame. But other than that, it looks really cool. I like the animation style, that kind of stuff. But I haven't managed to watch all of it as yet, because I generally watch it at work during lunch breaks, because I haven't got it to work on my big telly yet. I need to somehow get my Xbox to take me to the site. It's not the most elegant of of ways they put it together. Warhammer Plus, it's kind of like go to different sites for different bits of it and all kinds of stuff like that. Could be done better, but it's not bad.
Well, so its finale for the Blood Angel story is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to know what comes next, because that's very much been the highlight of the product.
I think it's Black Templars next. There's a Black Templar animation next up.
But is it going to be like this one?
Is it just Hell's Reach?
Yeah, it's sketchy. Hell's Reach.
The Blood Angels one, I think, was by the guy who did Hell's Reach, wasn't it?
Was it?
I believe it was, yeah. Because they hired him to do it. I think the Black Templar one that's coming up is by a completely different animation studio, or it's by their animation studio, but by a different set of animators. So I think it'll be a different style and perhaps different audio, different lip syncing. Who knows? We'll find out. But I think it's going to be a completely different take.
Yeah, it's a question about. I was as much thinking production value. So I like that the Hammer and Bolter stuff has very different production values.
Yeah, very much.
And some of them are interesting stories. Some of them appeal. Some of them don't.
Yeah, I like the Assassin one.
See, I didn't like that one. So there you go. That's a different story. I thought that. I think, like most people, I was just overjoyed to discover that Yarrick was Scottish. Just overwhelmingly, impressed me.
I really like the. I think it was the last one they put out, with the Sisters of Battle. When they were fighting with the Corn guys in the Reliquary.
I haven't watched that one yet.
I like that. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I think there's a sort of little snippets a lot. I think it works well, and it doesn't need an improved animation style. But I was very much expecting, different types of shows. So let's see what we get next.
Have any of you watched any of the painting stuff on there at all?
No,
I haven't as yet. I'm assuming Jason doesn't.
I've watched some Warhammer painting videos, and they say you need these 40 paints, and I go, like, okay, I'm not interested. I am 100% not. When I've seen the list of paints, I'm not interested.
As a professional painter, Jace, what did you get anything from watching those? Because they're designed to be a bit more kind of like high-end paint videos, the ones on Warhammer Plus, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think of it as akin to basically in my previous life when I was a chef. You go to culinary culinary areas like with other chefs, and you listen to the ways they do things, and you take little bits from it and you use it in your own sort of thing. So, when I watch a lot of painting tutorials, and sometimes, I come away from it and going, I probably won't use that. Or sometimes I go, that was really clever, I might use that. And sometimes there's also, you forget things, like sometimes, because I paint so much, and to be a commission painter, you don't need to be the best painter. You need to be a dedicated painter, And
you need to be fast.
Yeah, because, you just keep, people keep sending you stuff, like I've got so much stuff in front of me and around me here from all the different people that send stuff to paint. And when you're painting for yourself and you're doing it as a hobby, you can get burned out, and then you stop, and then you take a break and do something else. As a commission painter, you can't do that. You have to keep plowing through, and therefore it becomes like a robotic action. So sometimes you're doing things without really thinking about it. It's more just instinct. And sometimes you forget things, so you go watch videos and you go, that's right, that's how you do that. And then you go back and do.
Subs just said, it's nice to see all of the Warhammer Plus subscribers in one place.
Yeah, all of us.
It would be interesting to know. Sorry.
Go on.
It would be interesting to know how many. I mean, they're never going to release the numbers, but it'd be interesting to know how many subscribers there are worldwide. Is it making good money? I suspect it is. I think there's an awful lot of Warhammer fans that £5 a month, that's a beer. I mean, that they're not going to worry. They're just going to take the subscription out and never think of it again, and it's just going to roll over forever, and they're never going to worry.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because I don't want to insult anybody or appear to be sort of. There's a point in your life at which £5 a month is a significant amount of money.
Yeah,
and then there's a point in your mouth when you're paying 4 figures for your mortgage every month, and a £5 doesn't seem so important anymore. But what I also think, people compare the Warhammer Plus thing to like Disney Plus or something. It's like, no, it's not that. It's not that. If they continue to produce content at the rate that they are producing, I think anybody picking up a subscription a year, 2 years from now is going to get a great deal of value.
Yeah.
For it. For me, I see it as much in terms of renting a DVD kind of money. I know nobody does that anymore. Blockbusters is gone, but it's that kind of money. I usually watch it on the Wednesday when it comes out, and I generally enjoy it. I'm a bit miffed in the weeks when it doesn't come out. But I think that there's a lot of kids that play Warhammer, and they don't have money. But there's an awful lot of 40, 50 plus year old adults who do, and they're the people who really spend money, I think.
Yeah.
Ironically, even though I'm actually enjoying the content, the minimal content that they put out on the videos, I think when I took a 6-month, subscription, and when it runs out, I'm probably going to stop and maybe come back in a year or two if it's still going. Because like you said, at the moment, I watch 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then all the content for that week is done, and I don't feel it's as interesting. I get a hyped up. Oh, it's Wednesday. What are they going to put out? Oh, it's 20 minutes worth of stuff. So then I might come back in a year or two. Obviously, the flip side is if everyone does that, it might not be there in a year or two. But also the reason why I'm going to probably cancel it after my 6 months or whatever is because now that I've got a 3D printer, I'm doing a lot of patrons for miniatures. So that money is going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. I know we talk about Warhammer Plus far more than people are interested. So before we go, let me remind you, next week's show is... I spent time putting that together, right?
A hot dog eating competition.
Sorry, Jim?
It's a hot dog eating competition, right?
Hot dog
Oh yes, hot dog eating competition.
I was struggling to think of I didn't really have a suitable picture to flip with, but YouTube is such an amazing thing, right? I know we're all on YouTube watching this, but in that, I don't know how I came upon it, but it just in the kind of suggested videos was this review of UFO, the Jerry Anderson TV show, and then there was this guy who's giving reviews of all of the Jerry Anderson shows, most of which I've forgotten, and suddenly rekindled my boyish love of Captain Scarlet, and so I saw out that drum sound.
It's a great sound.
Something. Yeah. And then it turns out that they're actually rerunning the UFO series on Sky at the moment. One of them channels far down the list.
Yeah.
Whose name I don't remember, but you occasionally see one of them done V. All these old sci-fi shows, mate, they are well worth watching because they don't all hold up very well.
No. Some shows hold up well, some really don't.
Yeah, most don't.
No.
Especially V is definitely one of those. Yeah. So, quiz next week. If you want to send in some questions, you email modelingforadvantage.co.uk. Mark it for the attention of Mrs. Kaiser. You can send one question. You can send a whole round of 5, and we'll stick your name on it. But she's going to combine them. We may have more than 4 people. I don't know how many of the guys turn up. So, all be a bit of an experiment next time. That will be. And we've got plenty of videos lined up, which will take us over. But that will be the last live show on a Tuesday until into the new year. But as I say, I talked to John. We're going to try play a few computer games. We'll probably do a Christmas show as well, but it won't be live. And we'll look at the feedback from the poll that we've done and look at a schedule for next year. But I definitely want to include something on a different time zone. Also, working on getting a cadre of people together to do what I'm going to call fireside chats. So that will be these like battle reports. So you remember when we had Drakinifel on and we did the Jutland thing. When I had Seventh Son on, we did something on the early part of the Second Punic War. And your man, those are the 2 that we've done so far. But your man, Friends of General Haig, is going to do at Edge Hill with me. We're going to do that. And I'm going to try and line a few up. So that will be part of that schedule. But you'll know in advance that this is one of those type of episodes. But a lot of people seem to like those. I know what other people thought. So Jason, reminded people where they can see these battle reports of yours if they want to see Zulus fighting Britishers, etc.
Well, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Battle Knights, and I do a variety of games. So you won't get to see just one game. You'll get to see different types of fantasies, historical, even some sci-fi when Mike finally gets his ass around here. And I've got another channel called Gaming Nights, which is just board game related, and then a Facebook page, which is Painting Nights, which is my commission painting service.
Great.
Somebody's very drunk after that segment.
Night. Yeah. Do you have a Winter War board ready for winter? Two things to say on the Winter War. One is we do have a winter board. Yeah. As Jason asked when he first saw a video of us playing on our winter borders, has somebody dropped a bag of coke on that mat? Because we use a white mat and then we use a lot of the regular scenery. We've got different trees, but a lot of the buildings and stuff all covered in woodland scenics, I think, snow. But it does look like somebody has dumped a bag of coke to the table. And in terms of Winter War, if you caught the Paul Sawyer interview that we put up from our Warlord visit, he talks about fins. They're plastic. Well, he didn't say they were plastic. He just said that they weren't likely to be metal, or realized he didn't answer that question very well and maybe gave away more than he meant to. But a new range of fins coming out. It'll be nice new sculpts. You know, I was really looking forward to that.
Talking about Warlord games, I saw in one of their when you guys went to the Warlord Day, they did like a little seminar video, and I'm pretty sure I heard John Stallard say that they are looking at doing a Boer War bolt action version, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah, so they use they can use bolt action as the core of the rules, but make it usable for the Boer War.
Genuine commandos.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, that's got my ears prickled up.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean much for me because I'm like a magpie with Tourette's. I go from one to the
next. Magpie with Tourette's. Nice.
Squawk, squawk about every little game and every campaign I can play.
Yeah, so in terms of the quiz next week, I'm not 100% sure exactly how it's worked, but the intention is that you will be able to play along too. I won't know the quiz. Mrs. K is going to put them together. We'll do it through the slides because that did seem to work. The slides worked out all right. This is a photograph from our local university because we had a little bit of snow, and I was very, a friend sent that, and I was like, nice. That's the university education for you there, isn't that good? But I think that we're all gonna answer them in real time, and you can too. So it will be one question, we'll do it like that, so that if you want to catch a bit of the show, you'll find out the answers. But a bit more like a quiz show. That's the hope. It could be a total disaster as well.
We're just gonna have a laugh.
Love a quiz.
I mean, yeah, I'm hoping a lot of the guys are going to turn up. All right, folks, I hope you have enjoyed the show. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, become a member, sell stuff, buy our things, do all the stuff, right? It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.